But then here's a self-assessment tool to take at any point, and it's just a little diagnostic I hand out to individuals to say, hey, I want to rate myself on a 1 to 6 in certain areas of my sales process or sales activity. So it helps you kind of figure out where you need to be focusing. And I often use this in a consultation when I'm working on developing a training plan for somebody or try to fit them into the right program based on this. But it's a handy little tool that you can just use for yourself to, do extra reading in, or if you even want to talk to me about it, we can talk about it. And it doesn't necessarily mean we are going to do business together, but it also gives you an idea of what I can do with others, as referral partners. So, okay. Let me get my marker. Okay. So you ready? I'm ready. Okay. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending today. And what I'm going to be, my topic is called Why Salespeople Struggle and What Can Be Done About It. All right? So what I'm going to talk about is a couple of different systems. Like they're really a process or a system. There's what we call the prospects system, because the person you're selling to, they basically have a system or process by which they go through. I'm going to compare it to traditional sales training or traditional sales process, what most people get trained on when they go to a training seminar, okay? And then I'm going to compare it to the Sandler selling system, how we're different, how we differentiate yourselves and put you more in control of the call, okay? All right. Now, it's titled Why Salespeople Struggle, but this is really applicable to anybody that's selling, okay? Whether you're a business owner or you're a sales professional by name, this applies to you as well, or anybody, all right? Okay. So, we have two side-by-side systems. We have what's called the prospect system and the traditional system, okay? So most people may not think that the person you're selling to actually has a system, but when I start talking about these steps, you can say, oh, okay, yeah, I recognize that. Oh, I can recognize that, all right? So you've got somebody on the phone, you're working to sell your product or your offering, all right? And so you think you've got this prospect. And oftentimes what happens is they mislead. They mislead you into indicating that they have an interest, okay? So the first step is in the prospect system is they mislead. And you'd think, well, why does a person who's, basically most people are honest and they're good, inside, why do they want to mislead? Well, a lot of times they don't have the best impression of salespeople, right? Growing up in life, when you heard about salespeople, you probably didn't necessarily have the most positive thought, or you had a negative impression, or you heard other people speak of salespeople negatively. So maybe you had a negative impression of sales. So in general, a lot of people think that the salesperson is going to manipulate them, talk them into something they don't want or don't think they need. They don't want to be manipulated. So it's a self-defense mechanism. So the prospect feels they're within their right not to actually tell you the truth, to actually lie and mislead, okay? Because the prospect is actually, they do want to talk to you because they are interested, but what they're interested in is what you know, your knowledge, okay? So step 2, what the prospect is doing is trying to find out what you know. Oops. You're a person that spent a lot of time getting particularly knowledgeable about your products, your offering, and they're having a conversation with you because they want to learn how you can possibly help them, but they're really interested in learning all that they can from you, okay? All that they can without actually paying for it. And in Sandler, we actually call this unpaid consulting. And I do it. I'm sure I'm seeing smiles on everybody's faces. I think we probably all do it to some extent. How much to provide in terms of information without giving away the store, okay? But if we're offering more than, and we're never going to receive any reimbursement for it, we're probably giving too much away, okay, in the form of unpaid consulting. But the prospect will keep us going to learn as much as they can from us, all right? So what then happens next is, so you've been talking to this person, you think, hey, they're nodding, they're smiling, they're asking you questions, you're asking them questions. This is really going well. I think, a sale. So in the prospect system, what do? Step 3. Well, in essence, they mislead again, okay? Now, we call this step, what's next? Okay, so what's next in the prospect system? Well, if they have no intention to buy, they don't tell you no outright a lot of times. What they're doing is they're going to shop around. They've got all this information from you. They've learned about the industry. They've learned some information from you. And now they're going to shop for maybe potentially a better opportunity or a better offer, okay? And you've helped them. And then when you try to nail them down, what's a common response you hear? When you try to say, okay, are we ready to move forward? What do you often hear? Let me think about it. The dreaded let me think about it. I'm sorry, Lawrence, did you? What?
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing, let me think about it. Or I've got to take this back to my team, and we've got to mull this over, and we've got processes, and we've got things. So a lot of times what they're doing is they're keeping the sales call going because they may need to come back to you and get more information. They may want to keep you as part of the process as they shop you around to see if they can get a better deal. So anyways, but they're evasive. They're not going to commit, okay? Now, some people have gotten a prospect to commit by this point. I can't say that all sales breaks down here, or we wouldn't have, obviously, successful people in sales. But a lot of times customers, they evade, all right? All right, step 4. You've gotten to a point, it looks like, hey, I thought I had one. I gave them the information they wanted. They seemed to be interested. They evaded me, but now I'm going to like really nail them down to a close, really nail them to a decision, okay? Well, they hide. You place phone calls. I see a lot of smiles there. You place phone calls. You get things like, I'm on vacation, I'm ill, can't get back to you. They don't call you back. You leave voicemail messages. They hide behind a gatekeeper. They're hiding, all right? So you've given them everything that you felt that they needed. You thought they were thinking about it, but they're not committing, and then they hide. So I saw smiles around the room, so many of us have been there. I've been there myself. All right, well, how did they learn how to do this? How did the prospect learn this system? Okay, well, they've learned it from salespeople. The traditional selling method is how they learned it. Okay, so let's talk about that. In the traditional sales system, if you go to a seminar about how to sell, one of the first things they teach you is how to qualify, okay? Qualify, how to find somebody that's a good match for your product. And oftentimes in traditional selling, it's a needs analysis. You say, okay, what are you looking to solve? You know, what are your biggest concerns or issues? So you do this needs analysis, and they're usually forthcoming with their needs, right? They tell you what they're trying to do because they want your knowledge. All right, so you're happy because, hey, I've got somebody who's actively interested in what I'm talking about. They're answering my questions. This is looking good. So step 2 in this traditional sales system is once you've found their needs out, you present. You present. All kinds of ways to present, right? PowerPoint presentations, brochures, going through a brochure. You could even take them on a site visit. We did that a lot at Johnson & Johnson. We took people to actual places where our products were in use to demonstrate, you know, how our products work. All different kinds of ways to present the information to the customer to say, hey, we've got your needs in mind. We can help meet that, okay? Then you're taught, okay, you've presented the information. They seem to be liking what they're hearing. They're learning the things they want to hear. You go for the close. You're asking for a decision. You're asking for a commitment, right? That sounds like a lot of different ways. You're taught a lot of different ways to close. There's the and/or close, like do you want it in blue or do you want it in white, you know? There's the impending event close, which a lot of us are taught. Well, you better sign up today because the price goes up on Monday. A lot of people are taught that. You've probably got other closes. Derek's taught me some closes too, so. But closes work. It's just that sometimes they don't work necessarily at this point in the process is the point, okay? And then the last step is you've tried to close them. They've evaded. You chase.
And they'll hide.
And they hide, right. Thank you, Jamak. So, you know, a lot of successful salespeople can get the close here, just like they had hoped, all right? But to really raise your sales up, you know, we're going to talk about a bit better way, we feel. I know I'm biased, but a bit better way. But, you know, a lot of times, then there's the chase. You're trying to track them down. You're leaving voicemail messages. You're trying to get them on the phone, and they hide. So this is how the prospect has essentially learned how to manipulate the sales call process, okay? You go to qualify. They want your information. They mislead sometimes their intentions of why they're there, right? So, but in the beginning, you're happy because this person's interested. I'm not drawing a smile there. They're wary because you're a salesperson. You're trying to manipulate them, okay? Here, they're getting all the information that they want from you. They're pretty happy because you're informing them. They're after your knowledge. Here, they're doing a zigzag. They're doing everything they can to avoid your close, okay? And then here, you're in a situation, that's a question mark. You can't get them. You can't get them on the line. You can't get them to commit. You know, you've done all this work for them. You're not a very happy camper, all right? So here, let's talk about what we think is a better way to do this. And this is the Sandler selling system, but this can also just keep it in mind for your own sales process and your own way to sell about some better ways to do this, okay? So in Sandler, what we talk about, before you can really have somebody that's going to eventually turn into a committed client, you need to have a period of time called bonding and rapport, okay? Bonding and rapport. So let me write that in here. And the objective of bonding and rapport, many of you may already be thinking this, is about trust. Is to try to develop a level of trust, you know, or even credibility. You're trying to come off as a credible person that can really help this person, but you want to have trust. Trust is going to be important in order for the next series of steps to go well, okay? But it's always good to spend a little bit of time up front on developing that trust. Now, what we offer sometimes is what we call assessments, so that you get a better understanding of your own personality style and your own communication style. And then we help you kind of detect the communication style and personality style of the person that you're selling to, because a lot of times good rapport and trust occurs when you are connecting well with a person in the way they like to hear information and the way you're responding to them. People respond differently. People listen differently. So if you deliver the messages in the way they like to hear it, that builds the level of trust. Okay, that's what research shows. So we work with that, how to help you develop the ability to develop stronger trust with the client. Step 2. Now I'm getting into the area which really differentiates the Sandler selling system from these other processes. Okay, and this is called the upfront contract. And I often talk about how we put people in control of the sales call, and to me, the crux of it is here, the upfront contract. And what that is essentially in any interaction with a prospect, you ask them, what is this going to, in your belief, in your perception, what is this time that we're spending, how is this going to be valuable to you? What do you want to accomplish in this call? So they're telling you what exactly they want to do in the call, and then you're telling them, well, in order for me to deliver on that, I've got to ask these series of questions to help me make sure I'm able to meet your expectations. So I'm saying this all up front, and then you're also asking for basically undivided attention for a period of time. So do we have 60 to 90 minutes to talk about this, okay? And at the end of this, I want to talk about what the decision's going to be. We're looking for either a yes or a no. A no is completely acceptable. If there's not a fit, if what you're telling me is something I can't deliver on, I tell you no. If what you're telling me is something, not only that if what I'm telling you is something that you don't think is going to apply to your situation, you tell me no. What we don't want to hear is, let me think about it. Thank you, Kim, and I didn't pay Kim to say that. You don't want to hear that. So you establish that right up front, okay? yes, no is completely acceptable. My feelings aren't going to be hurt. That just helps me out. Or, but I don't want to hear, I don't want to think about it. Okay, so that's the upfront contract. Well, when you've developed good trust and you've established the foundation of where you're going with this call, they've told you what they want to achieve, and you've told them that you're going to ask them questions. Well, some of your questions, what you're going to dig into is this next step, pain. All right? People don't buy with their head, they buy with their heart. People buy based on emotion. And there's no stronger emotion out there than pain. So if you want to have somebody compelled to take action, you've got to find out what is their problem, what's troubling them. And not just some sort of maybe blanket statement like, oh, I got to increase my closing rates. It's more like, well, the fact that your closing rates are down, what's this mean to you? Like, oh, I'm losing sales and I'm having trouble paying my bills and I can't grow my business because I don't have enough revenue coming in and I can't pay my employees. That's where the pain starts, okay? And what we like to say is you need to get at least 4 or 5 good pain points by asking a series of questions before anybody's going to be compelled to take action, okay? So we say you got to dig into the pain. Now this does take practice because for me this was not my comfort level before, okay? And I thought, quite frankly, I was being manipulative. But now when I think about, hey, I'm the person that's trying to help you solve a problem, I need to understand the depth and the magnitude of your problem before I can help. So I feel now that I owe it to this person to at least find out what is the real pain, what are they trying to solve, okay? After pain, this is also critical. A lot of sales calls go on, and then you find out they don't have the money to pay for what you have to offer. Wouldn't it be better to find that out up front, that they don't have the money, they don't have the wherewithal to pay for what you're offering? So we talk about price early. When I was trained in the past, we didn't talk about price till we absolutely had to. It was like sell features, sell benefits, sell features, sell benefits, trial close. Is this what you need to, is this what you're looking for? Do you see the value of what we have to offer? Oh, and by the way, the price is X. No, we talk about the price early. You want to get that out of the way early, because if you find out they don't have the ability to pay, then you don't want to keep the sales cycle going on and on, okay? So we get to finding out if they have the ability to pay. And then the next thing, now when you see decision here, you think, oh, are they going to make a decision? Well, actually, that's not what we're looking for. We're actually looking for their decision-making process, how they go about making decisions. Now, if you're selling to the individual business owner, they should be the decision maker, but they may need to consult. They may need to consult with a CPA. They may need to consult with a business coach. They may need to consult with maybe a marketing expert if they're going to take action. So you need to know that, because you may need to talk to them about that. Or if they're in a company or an organization, there's usually other people involved or have to be involved. Sometimes they don't even know about it. I'll tell you about a situation recently. I was working with an applications company, and the person I was talking to, I found out early that I'm the decision maker. But when I quoted them what it was going to run to do what they wanted to do, he had to go then tell me later. He didn't tell me this up front. He told me later he had to go to the CEO. And that's where the thing, my proposal broke down, because I said, well, I should be there a part of that discussion. He goes, no, I'm going to present that. Well, I wasn't there to answer the CEO's questions, so this thing's still dragging on, okay? But find out who's all involved in the decision-making process, because you're going to have to somehow find a way to get your information in front of them, okay? All right, so you've dug into the pain. You found out that they've got the ability to pay for it, and you found out their decision-making process. Here's now where you actually present your solution. Now, we call this fulfillment. And fulfillment is presenting your solution, answering all the questions, making them completely feel comfortable that you're going to be able to solve this pain. So here, you've gotten a sense of what the pain is. You know, they're hurting. Here is where you say, this is how we're going to solve their pain. So in a way, they don't feel good here, but you have them feeling great here. All right? And so here is also where you close. You get the business. What's next? And this is how we're going to do it. And this is how we're going to work together to get it done. Okay? That's called fulfillment. And then, and that's not, the presentation and the close occur here. And then the last step, you don't always have to do. Depends on the business you're dealing with or the deal. But we call this post-sell. So you've worked with a client or a customer. They're committed. You've actually drawn a proposal. They've accepted. And then you may get this phone call. Hey, wait, we got to stop. Or I'm not sure if we can continue. All right? And what's happened a lot of times here is you've taken business away from a competitor. And they're not going to stand by idly. They're going to fight back. They're going to come back with a sweeter deal, a better offering, something to retain this business. And so we do this step called post-sell to really make sure that this all is intact from what we said. They're still committed. And if we need, we can even arm them with the information to push back the competition. Because sometimes they need, I don't know what to say. I've been working with X person for so many years. I don't even know what to tell that person. I'm ending that relationship. I like this person, you know, even though they're not delivering what I need. So we help you with that post-sell step. So here is what we would train you on at Sandler. Here's another way to think about doing it in your own business, these 7 steps. And, you know, the ultimate goal is to increase your sales.
Rick,
Yeah.
one question.
Yes, Cash.
Step 2 and step 6, what differentiates those two?
Well, that's a great question. Actually, step 2, the reason why we say upfront contract here is because it's very critical after you've built the trust that you set the objective for it, especially the first call. But really, you're doing an upfront contract with every call, every time you meet with the person. These are what we're going to achieve. And we actually teach you to do an upfront contract as we go through each step. Okay? So that's really setting the objective for what you're working on. And fulfillment is really the solution to the pain. You've dug in, you found out their problem at a more deeper level, and the fulfillment is how you're going to solve that pain. This is my solution. So, is that clear in terms of?
So step 2 is the assessment process.
Well, there is a bit of an assessment because you're asking this question: how is this call going to be successful in your mind? What is going to make this time together valuable? So there is a bit of an assessment, but you also let them know that this is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do to help achieve a successful outcome to what you've stated.
Or needs fulfillment, whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, there is some needs fulfillment, but this is really about setting a goal, okay? And then the fulfillment is satisfying the need and the solution, okay? And the last point I just want to make is when you're going down the traditional sales process with a person, you have a decision to make. The prospect is going to try to mislead. And if you don't insert your right and insert your control of the call, then you'll go down the path of the prospect system and you cannot find your way back. You cannot find your way back to the Sandler selling system. So you have to consciously say from the beginning that you're going to go this path. And we call that intersection of making that decision WIMP junction. Because if you let the prospect take control, you're not going to most likely get the sale. But if you insert your right and insert your desire to be in control of the call, then you're going to achieve all their sales goals. You're going to achieve the type of business success you're looking for, and you're going to be a much more satisfied sales professional and business owner. So thank you. If you have any questions, I guess I'm getting the cutoff sign. I can answer them individually because I don't even think we have time. Do I have time? No. Okay. No time to answer questions, so I can talk to you individually. Thank you.
Thank you.